The Seahawks were playing, Seahawks Sunday football. So we were joking about that, and then we went out for Jason Aldean as he was starting.
I was working in the emergency room.
We had just come back from a 3-day excursion and we were telling the stories.
A very typical day when we walked in to school, and I usually greet students at, we call it the stoop.
I was sleeping, it was 12:30 a.m. I was woken out of bed and learned of this mass shooting.
When you go to these concerts, they're not violent. Like, people might be drunk, but there's no drugs, there's no fights. It's just a lot of happy people dancing and singing. The second round went off and the girl right to our right went down and was covered in blood. And that's when we knew that something really bad was happening.
I was called to respond to the scene of the Mukilteo mass shooting in July of 2016.
My son was seriously injured in shooting in Mukilteo.
I took care of a teenage patient who was getting a ride from a friend to the store, and the car was shot along the way, and he was paralyzed from the waist down.
A 3-year-old girl came in who'd been shot through the eye and through her brain, and it was my job to talk to the family while others on the team were caring for her.
We went into immediate lockdown. When Sandy Hook happened, we talked about what would happen if, and then it became it did.
I saw the young man smoking a cigarette, and my first thought was, you can't smoke at our school, and I was upset about it, and at that point I looked to his right hand and saw the gun.
I lost my 14-year-old brother in a school shooting.
He killed 3 people and wounded a 4th.
2 students are dead.
Where 7 people are dead in what's
considering
described
it
as
a
the worst massacre in that city.
multi-casualty
They say he
incident.
walked into the mall and opened fire, killing the shot.
They say a woman was wounded in the second.
5 people are dead.
When you've seen firsthand what a gunshot does to a human, you can't ever forget it.
I think of that little girl often, and I can only imagine what that mother goes through every day.
I've never seen 3 beautiful dead children before, and that affected me profoundly.
I had some degree of complacency until I had a direct hit. My son was shot in the back, nearly murdered. But I can't just go back to normal after that.
I really look at my life in 2 ways. I look at it pre-Vegas and post-Vegas. You're never the same person. No, you learn how to cope. You learn different mechanisms that'll get you through the day. But the pain that you go through when you don't have a bullet inside of your body, it's invisible pain. It's psychological pain that people don't see when they see you.
I will forever remember the clothes I had on. I remember the rings that were on my fingers. I remember where I was sitting. I remember looking at my professors and the TAs as they said, "Nyla, we need to tell you about something that happened in your hometown." It hadn't occurred to me that a child could die.
I have caught myself thinking, okay, if we jump out that window, where are we going to land? Are we going to have to break our legs to actually save our lives? You have to start thinking about these things because it's not an if anymore, it's a when, and there will be another one.
Officials have described as a mass casualty incident.
58 people now dead, more than 500 people
High
wounded.
School where 2 students were killed
In
will
Colorado this time.
right here in Newtown, Connecticut.
We definitely know we've got 8 confirmed deaths.
I just said, Mom, like, I love you so much, and I think I'm gonna die.
I love you. I love you. It's gonna be fine. Can you hide somewhere? Can you play dead?
The day of the Parkland shooting in Florida, we had a bill that would have raised the age of semi-automatic rifle purchased from 18 to 21 and require an enhanced state-level background check. And on that day, it died in committee. The failure of Senate Bill 6620, as it was known, meant that literally our elected officials were saying that other things mattered more than lives that could have been saved by this policy.
I can tell you this, that parents were not meant to bury their children. You know, how do you recover from something like that?
I just want people to know this is not a partisan issue. This is really about making our communities, our schools, our homes, the places where kids live and play, safer for children.
In the end, what this really comes down to is trying to prevent violence and trying to save lives. And it's real simple. And who isn't for saving more lives?
It happened to me. It can easily happen to you. Let's make change now so that you don't have your own personal story to share. I do not want you to have a story to share like I do.
I think voting is such a powerful way that it's an easy way to get your voice heard. Just know that we turn 18 and we can vote, and then we will start running for election if we need to.
When our legislators fail, more people die, and they need to start taking that seriously.
When there's a shooting in a school in Newtown, Connecticut, when there's a shooting in a theater, when there's a shooting in a nightclub in Orlando, Florida, Las Vegas, at a concert, schools all across the country, innocent people being gunned down, and their lives are just over, and their families are left with this emptiness. It's not right, and it doesn't need to be this way.